the pawn who toppled the queen. They call it Billionaire's Row, where power sleeps behind glass towers and money talks louder than mercy. Everything gleams: the marble, the wine, the people. Discretion is worn like a second skin, except, of course, by Danielle Truman. Her penthouse atop 220 Central Park South wasn't just a home. It was a crown. And on one crisp autumn night, as the wind rattled against the glass like a distant warning, that glittering seat of power was about to host a lesson its owner never saw coming. One delivered not by a rival socialite or politician, but by a soft-spoken 17-year-old from Queens. His name was Zohran Madani, and he came to serve canapes, not checkmate egos. "Hey you, how about showing me how you play chess in the slums?" Ms. Danielle Truman's voice cut through the penthouse air like the snap of a brittle icicle, sharp, cold, and casually cruel. 17-year-old Zohran Madani was balancing a tray of hors d'oeuvres when she said it. He paused, but only for a breath. The marble-floored room was filled with New York's most manicured power players: venture capitalists, media magnates, politicians, and their Botox spouses. Danielle, the queen of her Billionaire's Row skyscraper kingdom, wanted to amuse them. She gestured at the Italian marble chessboard resting on a side table like a museum piece. "Come now, let's see what street chess looks like." Mr. Walton, the silver-haired owner of a global hotel chain, whispered to his wife. "I bet he doesn't even know the knight moves in an L." A ripple of laughter spread across the room like a well-timed stock tip. Zohran said nothing. His mother, Maira, employed by Danielle as maid in her penthouse, clenched her hands tighter with practiced grace around the silver platter she carried. Danielle had known Maira for years, back when she first hired her to clean her six-bedroom sky palace overlooking Central Park. "Maira," Danielle said sweetly, "you can stop serving. I want you to watch. This will be educational." Zohran stood still, not out of fear, but focus. His gaze passed not over the board, but the people. "Of course, it'll be my pleasure, Ms. Truman," Zohran said at last, placing the tray down gently. Danielle crossed her legs and leaned back like a queen at court. "You've never played on a board like this, have you, Zohran? Italian marble. Every piece hand-carved. Worth more than your family's apartment, I'm sure." Congresswoman Kate Mills, who was seating by the wall-to-ceiling window, said, "Danielle, are you sure this isn't cruel?" "Come on, Kate, don't be dramatic," Danielle said, waving it off. "He'll go back and tell his little friends in Bronx that he played chess in a billionaire's penthouse." What she didn't know, and what she was about to learn, was that Zohran Madani wasn't just some street kid. He was a quiet, deliberate force who played chess every weekend in Washington Square Park against hustlers, tourists, masters, anyone who would dare sit across from him. He had memorized over 200 openings, spent 8 years at the New York Public Library studying the game of chess, watched live commentary and post-match analysis of the recent chess games on chessbase.com until sundown on a busted laptop patched together from e-waste parts he had fixed himself. He would update himself about the latest developments in the world of chess on FIDE's website. His sanctuary was 64 squares wide. While his friends partied, Zohran studied Boris Spassky. While Maira worked nights, Zohran learned Bobby Fischer by candlelight during blackouts. At the Billionaire's Row, Danielle sat down at the white side of the board, smug as ever. "I always play white," she declared. "Family tradition." Zohran said nothing. He arranged his black pieces precisely, square by square. The symmetry of it unsettled Mr. Walton. "Let's make this fun," Danielle said. "If he makes me break a sweat, I'll donate $1,000 to some public school in the Bronx." Polite chuckles echoed again. Maira didn't smile. She knew that look on her son's face. Tight, unreadable, dangerous. He wore it at 12 when his math teacher accused him of cheating. When he scored in the 99th percentile without prep. When he lost every scholarship he applied to because someone else's dad made a call. Danielle opened with E4. "King's pawn," she said. "A classic opening we studied at Yale." Zohran replied instantly. "C5. Sicilian defense." Mills leaned forward. Walton raised an eyebrow. The room quieted. Danielle played knight F3, then D3. Conservative. Hesitant. Zohran replied with knight C6. G6. developing, calculating, hunting without mercy. His moves came in seconds, hers in nervous pauses. He had already shifted the tempo. "See," Danielle said, rolling her eyes. "Always in a hurry." Typical. But Walton interrupted. "Danielle, he's setting up a fast dragon, a deep variation of the Sicilian. Not something you find in beginner books." What?" She blinked. "He must have seen it in a movie, I am sure." But the board began to shift. Her pieces crawled. His pieces moved like water. She took 20 seconds. He took 5, then 4, then 3. Danielle tried to hold the stage with commentary, but the room could feel it. Something was turning. Guests leaned in. Phones were discreetly tucked away. Even Walton's wife stopped flipping through her magazine. Zohran wasn't reacting. He was building, dictating. His board was a battlefield. Her board was a memory game. Then, mid-match, Zohran stood and walked over to his mother Maira, who had been silent in the corner. "Amy," he whispered, loud enough for the guests to hear. "Remember when you said one day I would show them?" Her eyes misted. "I remember." Maira had said it when Zohran turned 15, sitting at a dinner table with one rotting chair and no birthday cake. Now, standing in the clouds, under a crystal chandelier, she watched her son become the storm. Danielle tapped her ring on the table impatiently. "Can we get on with it? I have real guests to entertain." Zohran returned to the board. 11th move. A trap, not a gamble. A strategy born from repetition, intuition, and instinct sharpened over 8 years in the park, not 8 weeks in prep school. Danielle was cornered. If she protected her king, she would lose her queen. If she saved the queen, she would face checkmate in 3. "Check," Zohran said calmly. "This can't be right," Danielle muttered, peering closer. "You must have memorized that." "You are right," Zohran said. "From Kasparov. Game 23. World Championship, 1984. Mr. Walton rose from his chair and walked over to the board. "Danielle, he's outplaying you. That boy just executed a variation of the Sicilian that even I didn't know, and I've been playing this game for 40 years. No, I don't accept that. Something is wrong here. No one learns to play like that on their own." Danielle snapped, standing up abruptly and knocking over a few pieces. "This is a setup. Someone trained him to embarrass me. This is sabotage." Congresswoman Mills pulled out her cell phone and began recording discreetly. As an experienced politician, she immediately recognized the viral value of this moment. A millionaire being humiliated by a prodigy she had underestimated. Zohran's calm never cracked. He finally stood up, and when he spoke, his voice carried a maturity that silenced all the adults present. "Ms. Truman, do you want to know the truth? I wasn't trained to humiliate you. I spent the last 8 years studying chess because I dreamed of playing against people who respected the game. People who understood that talent has no color, social class, or last name." He paused, looking at each person present. "Would you like a rematch? I can take on any of you, or all of you at once." A low murmur spread across the room, followed by nervous laughter. Then silence. "You're being arrogant now," Danielle hissed. "A maid's son doesn't speak like that." That's when Maira stepped forward. For the first time in 2 decades, she looked Danielle in the eyes without flinching. "My son is not from the slums," she said firmly. "We are from a working-class neighborhood in Queens. And he's not being arrogant. He's being honest. Something you have never been in your life." The room fell utterly silent. The silence in the room was so thick you could hear the ticking of the $15,000 wall clock. "How dare you?" Danielle whispered. "You forget your place in this house." "No," Maira replied, lifting her chin. "I finally remember mine." Congresswoman Mills had stopped recording and watched the scene with fascination. "How old are you, boy?" she asked. 17, madam," Zohran replied. Mills looked at Danielle with an expression that mixed disbelief and disapproval. "Danielle, you've just been defeated by a self-taught teenager. A teenager whose family you employ." Walton moved toward the board. "Danielle, admit it. You assumed he would lose because he's poor and not from your world." Zohran calmly reset the pieces on the board. "Thank you for the game, Ms. Truman," he said. "It was enlightening and educational." He turned to his mother. "Emmy, can we go? I have school tomorrow." As they reached the door, Congresswoman Mills called out, "Zohran, Are you open to scholarships? I know some people. He smiled, his first real smile of the night. Very open, ma'am. She handed him her card. Call me Monday. The door closed behind them. As the door clicked shut behind Zohran and Maira, the remaining guests exchanged uneasy glances, the silence thick with unspoken judgment. Danielle was alone, for once not admired but judged. Walton was the first to rise. I should go as well. One by one, the others followed, their goodbyes clipped, their stares sharp with disapproval. Alone now, Danielle's gaze fixed on the chessboard, the same one where her arrogance had been dismantled, piece by piece, by a teenager she had dismissed as beneath her. Outside, beneath the glittering sky of Billionaire's Row, Zohran walked home with his mother, his fingers brushing against the card in his pocket, the one that would change everything. 6 months later, Zohran Madani walked across the lawn at Columbia University on a full scholarship. He turned down 3 Ivies. He liked the idea of staying in New York, close to Washington Square Park, where it all started, close to his roots. Congresswoman Mills had kept her promise, and the story of that night in the sky had gone viral. Not because someone filmed it, but because Mills had shared it herself. Prodigy humiliates billionaire in chess, the headlines read. 3 million views. Tens of thousands of kids inspired. Maira became head of housekeeping at a luxury hotel downtown. Full benefits. Paid time off. Not charity, just overdue recognition. And Zohran? He launched a free chess platform for underserved youth. Over 2,200 kids signed up in the first 6 months. Kids who had been invisible until someone showed them how to play like a grandmaster. It wasn't just about knights and rooks. It was about strategy, confidence, and power. Chess taught me that every piece has value. Even the pawn. Especially the pawn. Zohran explained during an interview with CNN. When asked if he held a grudge, Zohran smiled that same calm smile. Grudges are pieces that only get in the way of the game. Grudges waste moves. I would rather plan for victory. Danielle saw that interview alone in her penthouse, behind soundproof windows, surrounded by silence. All her power, her wealth, her chandeliers, none of it could undo the checkmate. She had tried to use a maid's son as entertainment. He became the lesson, and that, Zohran Madani knew, was the ultimate win, not just in chess, but in life. Because sometimes, even the quietest move on 64 squares can echo loud enough to change the world.